What's up, everyone? Back again. Another 2 streams in one day. Now an hour ago, we talked about what the Maximus DAO ecosystem looks like when it becomes cross chain with the copy of everything made over to Pulse Chain. But right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pushing forward some of the stuff during the test phase, because it's as the clock ticks over in 2 minutes. The base stake is going to be eligible to start again, so this will be the second base stake, and then this means that the new team staking period begins, and so this will kick off another stake, meaning that the stake actually starts tomorrow. So you know how when you stake Hex, it the first, like, up until 5 p.m. or up until midnight UTC of the following day. It's actually midnight UTC of your current day. You can withdraw your stake. The first day the stake actually starts the next day. So we will be calling for this second base stake to start, and then it'll actually start tomorrow, and then it'll be eligible to end the following day. And so we'll do another stream where we end that stake and then look at how it all works. And we have 2 simultaneous test phases going now, because I wanted to do another test on the team minting, and then since the team minting had ended on our first test, I just deployed another one. So there's actually 2 different, simultaneously going testnet versions going on right now. We'll be doing it. Actually, on the second test, the stakes actually start today too. So we're going to be doing it twice. So we're going to be starting 2 separate base stakes, one on testnet, or one on the first testnet and one on the second testnet. So we'll be doing that, and then we're gonna be working on pretty much the last thing that I need to get done before we go live, which is just the dashboards that show the total balance of the pools, the amount that's earning, the T shares, all that stuff. We're gonna be building that, and then that's really it as far as the dashboards and these dApps go for until we're ready to launch. Pretty much the only thing we're waiting on other than that is the audit to come back. It's scheduled to be done on the 28th. Haven't had any updates from them, other than they said that their lead engineers had started working on it, and so hopefully that's good news, is that there wasn't anything blaring that they had to tell us about ASAP. We'll hopefully get that audit back on the 28th. And if the audit's back on the 28th and these dashboards are done, today or tomorrow, then there's kind of nothing standing in between us and launching. And, we're in a hurry. We definitely want to get this going. Every day that goes by is a day lost of yield. So we definitely want to get the ball rolling and get this thing out there for you guys. So let's see what everyone's in the chat. Value Brand, heck yeah. What's up, man? Buffo on the beat says, what's up? All this steak talk making me hungry. Me too. Crypto Gains Club, give a little one of those. Dixon asks, are you the guy that built Icosa? And then Buffo answers, that's Alex, bro. Yeah, I did not build Icosa. That is Alex. I am Tonto. Well, cool. So here, let's get this link sent out. I'm going to start the test base stake and work on dashboards. Perhaps some secrets be revealed. All right, guys. This is Maximus Coder Dixon. All this is, it's basically the same dude. I'll be seeing him in Vegas at the conference, so we'll take a picture to prove that we are different people. That's funny. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so first off, this base period. So here, let's check this out now. So, oh wait, wrong one. So right now, let's just refresh the page. So what we should have seen is that the base stake, yeah, so there it is. Minting phase is over. So that's something I do need to fix. So these are some helper buttons that I built for the test. Those won't be there on the real one. So now that the minting phase is over, here, let's go ahead and let's do we have a start stake button? So start stake. So we do have a stake start button. So let's go ahead and find that. Where is it? Okay, there it is. It was just made invisible, I bet. So let's see if that brought it back, and we'll just see if that'll just work. So here, we'll go ahead and do this. Oh, so that won't be back. So here, we're gonna need to drag that out of there. So here, let's just bring it to the bottom. Actually, no, we'll bring it to the top. Where'd that go? Why is that not? Maybe I need to just bring it to the bottom. Yeah, okay. So let's see if it's there. I need to just make this more visible. Where did it go? Oh, it's not enabled. That's why. Duh. Okay. Here, we're just going to bring it to the bottom here. So, like I described in that prior video, the stake management stuff probably isn't going to be on the main user-facing website because I do not want people to accidentally run these functions. Here, what happened to it? Why is it not showing? I don't want people to accidentally run. Oh, there we go. I don't want people to accidentally run these functions because if you don't know what you're doing and you try to run it and it's already been run, then it is not going to, it's going to just basically waste gas. Like you'll pay, I'll show you exactly what it'll look like here in a minute. But yeah, so here we're going to kick off this new base stake. So we're going to be, so here, before we do that, let's actually, we'll show you just to kind of, demonstrate the point that the team stake relies on, like the team staking calendar is based on the base stake. So what you'll see here is that right now it says like the stake period that you're staking into is year 2. And so like this is like our year 2 stakes. You'll see that when we run this function, we are going to actually be, so here, let's close this out. So let's reject that. So when we run this function, we'll see the team dashboard update. So here we go. So while we wait for that, let's just go here and we'll go ahead and just refresh this until, okay, it looks like the transaction just went through. So we should see this now say year 3. Yep. So that right there just kind of proves that the stake year updates with the base stake. So that's exactly what we expected. And then here's why I deliberately am not making it, at least on these websites, just not making it easy for someone to just like go and click the start stake button. So like on the real one, this will be gone. This is just on this test version. But so if you try to run start stake, so even the website itself will, so it actually does throw an error. So it doesn't even get to the MetaMask. So the website won't even let you try to do this because it, right here is the error. Execution reverted, stake has already started. So that's what prevents you from running the running that stake, is if it's already started. And then here, even so, here let's take a look at this. So the stake is still ongoing. Let's bring back these. We're going to show you the. Let's see. Where's the button? So I'm even going to show you what happens when if you were to try to end. So here, button end stake. Let's see where that is. Okay, so here, what we're going to do is here, just for demonstration purpose, we're going to just confirm, to you that you can't end a stake before it's done. So right here, if we go in here, so if we click end stake right now, again, you see that error down there. The error says execution reverted, stake is not complete yet. And so even if you tried to run that function outside of this, like even, so say you, so here, like even for example, right here, let's see which one this is. Okay, so I think this is the one. Yeah. So yeah, this is I think this is base. Let's see what. Yeah. So this is the base stake that we just started. So even right here, if we were to try to, so if you were to like, enter in the smart contract address into a tool that lets you run the functions like outside of the website that I built. Say you tried to run the stake hex, you see, stake has already started. That same message that we showed on our site. And then even if you try to run end stake hex, where is it? Oh, end stake hex. So here, we actually need to pull in this first. So here, okay, so this is so we need to get the stake ID from here. So we go to the logs, we get this number here. Yep. And then we take it to, let's go to hexadecimal, decimal here. It's right here. Paste in that number from the logs. We get this number here. So this is the stake ID parameter. So even if we try to end stake hex right there, execution averted, stake is not complete yet. So that's how we know that the stakes cannot be ended early. So that's like the number one question when people are first learning about the perpetual pools. They're like, what happens if someone tries to early end stake. So you really can't. So that's like that's something that you really can't get around, and that's because it's like in one way, I kind of view Hex as like the oracle for these contracts, and so that's all based on the Hex contract. Like that's well, it's like it's the Hex. Even though you could at early end stake that Hex one because we in the staking function we made it so that you cannot early end stake. That's why we show that error there. So that's what that's how we know that the stakes can only be updated into the next phase based on the stake schedule, and so that's good to confirm. Even though obviously I knew that was going to work because I've tested this numerous times, but that's just like a good way to confirm for yourself that that it's not going to work. And then let's see if what so. So yeah, so we just started that base stake. I'm actually also going to kick off here. I'm going to show this other screen because, like I said, we have independent um, two independent tests going on right now. I'm going to go ahead and share the other one that has so right here. Okay, so here we are. Let's see if let's see if we even have a button for staking. Okay, minting phase is over on that one. So again, we'll just kind of do that same double confirmation that we did on our prior one. This should be in stake year 1. Oh, so actually, now that the minting phase is over, so here's actually a good example of what we have to do. When the Maximus staking or the Maximus team minting phase ends, there's something called finalized minting, which this is actually going to throw an error because look right here. So that's going to throw an error. It says team minting must be complete to schedule rebates. And so actually when like I said, the team or the base contract is the calendar. So in order to end the team minting, we actually have to start the base stake. So right now, what we do here, let's find that start stake button. Okay, and then let's just bring it out from where it currently is. Start stake, and then we need to make it visible and enabled, and then let's just we're just gonna pop it up here. Okay, so we have to start this base stake first. So now I'm confirming it in MetaMask. And then once that goes through, then we'll be able to run this finalize minting function on the team contract. Now that that's been run, so now we can run finalize minting. There we go. Now let's take a look at what happens there. So when we run that finalize minting, so what it does is first what it does is it generates the mystery box and that 369 maxi escrow. And so, and then it also mints the copy of all the team to the mystery box address. So it looks like this must be the mystery box, this OX9197. So let's take a look at that. So there it is right there. Okay, so as you can see, this is the mystery box, and it got 32 million maxi. These are test maxi, of course, and then 65 million teams. So let's confirm our math here. So the team, unless someone burnt their team that they'd minted, that should be twice this number. So let's do 32920 500 times 2. That is 65841,000. So there we go. The mystery box successfully got the right number of maxi and team. And so likewise, so that one is for the mystery box. Here, this is the 369 maxi escrow. So what do we expect? We expect that number to be, so if the mystery box gets half and then the escrow gets 30%, then we expect that 19752 number. I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see a little better. So we expect this to be 60% of that one. So let's just see how the math all played out. So we're going to do 19752 300 divided by 32920 500. Yep, that is 0.6. So that means that the escrow contract got 30% of the maxi, and then let's just double check confirmation. We should expect the amount burnt right there, where it says tokens burnt Maximus team to 0.0000. If we enter in the 13,168,200, there you go. That is expected to be 40% because if that's 20% and the other one's half, multiply them both by 2, you should get 40, and we got exactly 40. So there's confirmation that that finalized minting function works, which now shouldn't. So that won't be on the dashboard. That's just for the testing, just to make it easier. That'll be done separately. Okay, so here, why don't we just remove this whole finalized minting thing here, because that was just for testing. That will not be on there. Main mint page. Okay, we're just gonna. And that button is called primary color 1. So here, we're just gonna keep that invisible, so we don't need that. So there we go. Now that that's happened, what we can see here, if we go to the staking page. So here, what I'm going to do is, so here, what we're going to do is, or actually no, here we'll just do here, because a lot of this stuff, it only applies to this test phase. When it's on mainnet, it's just going to by default to be a little bit different. Okay, so so this means that no one's staked yet into year 2. We have our million here staked in period 1. Yeah, so that's all exactly how we expect it to be. And then now that this has gone on, let's see what happens here. I think we can remove this stake start button because it's no longer in use. And right there, it says minting phase over. Okay, so let's just remove this. Okay. So that's pretty much it on on just like those parts of the test. And so in real life, when we run that, it'll be off the dashboard. That'll just be like a private thing, or not even private, just something that's not on this user facing one. Cause I don't want people to, cause you can brute force. Cause what I was showing on that other remix. So here, let me go back here and I'll finish explaining why I, um, I deliberately made it so that, all right, I'm not trying to make it easy for people um, to do this. So say we were to run this, now we're trying to run the stake hex function now. So you can push it through. So it says gas estimation errored with the following message. The transaction execution will likely fail. Do you want to force sending? So if you did, so you probably can't see this because it doesn't show up, but it says estimated gas fee 0.0075 TPLS. So imagine if that was ETH, 0.0075, ETH. So that's like what? If the ETH price is 2,000, that is $14. And that's like like the Gwei price right now. Let's see if I can get the. So that's like a 2.5 Gwei thing. Imagine if it was, like a normal day where that's like 50. So if that's multiplied by 20, if that was on ETH and you did this and you forced through a transaction that's going to cost 0.0075 ETH, and if 0.0075, well, and that's on the 2.5 GUA estimation, and if we assume that it's 50 GUA, which would actually be a modest day in gas, what would that be? So 50 times that, so 50 times point 50 times 0.0075 times 20, or so 50 times that, and then times 50 times 0.5, that's 0.375 times 2,000. That's it. So that would cost you, okay, I take it back. It would actually be 20 times that. So that gas to push forward a transaction, like to make it do the start stake function when it's not eligible to be run, all that would happen would be that you would lose like $300 of gas. So so those start stake buttons are only there for the test. They'll not be there on the real one. If you want to be the one that pushes that stake start button, I can show you how. And who knows? Maybe I'll maybe we'll make like another chat group for people that want. It'll be kind of like an unofficial. Because anyone can run these functions, so like no one is limited to doing it. But maybe we'll have a like a Telegram group, like a private group for people that really care about the execution of the contract, and then maybe in there is where we'll coordinate how we get it done, and maybe I'll put these on like a private website that people in there can view, and if people want to do it, they can. Another option, which is actually pretty cool. Let me show you this. Let me see if I can actually log in here before I share my screen. I'm gonna see if I can log in. There's actually a tool that I actually used to start the first one. It's made by Open Zeppelin. It's called Open Zeppelin Defender, and see if I can log into this. Okay, so with Open Zeppelin Defender, what it does is it lets you write scripts that, let me share my screen. So Open Zeppelin Defender lets you, there's this thing called Autotask. You see here's the one from the original one. And so this is actually the code that ran to start the maxi stake. So what this tool lets you do is it lets you automate smart contract calls. Um, and so I just wrote in JavaScript this function that, here's the maxi ABI, here's the maxi address, and then so I instantiated the contract, got the hex day, the mint end day. So if the hex day is greater than the mint end day, that means that it's eligible to start. It runs this function that says contract.stake hex. And so maybe this is honestly how we'll do it for all these. Like maybe as a community, we can just, kind of work together and build one of these. And then in that case, we can just have an address where where it doesn't have to be, because when you generate one of these, you actually create it actually creates you an address, like it gives you a recovery phrase and everything, and then you send ETH to it, and then the ETH gets spent from this script. So that script just spends the ETH for the gas, and so it just runs that automatically. So that's probably what we'll do. Maybe if we have time, we'll do that. But if not, maybe we'll just do this first one manually, and then for the ones after that, what we could do is just have a wallet that just like looks at all of the contracts. We have a script here where we pull in all of the addresses. So for base, trio, lucky, desi, and then checks to see if it's eligible to start or end the stake, and then it'll just manage it here. So maybe that can be something that we do once we get everything launched, is build that. That I think that'd be really helpful. But yeah, so this is probably like the best way to do it in general, would be just to like not have anyone manually do it, just have the script do it, and then because you don't have to trust the script, it's just running it as if anyone else was running it. And then if it didn't work, then someone could just go and manually do it. But yeah, so that's what I think is a pretty cool tool that I use to actually start the maxi stake. But yeah, so there are a couple of different ways to do that. So let's read the chat real quick, and then we'll get back into the DApp. Crypto Games Club is both gentlemen scholars. Oh yeah, he's talking about Alex and I. Crypto says, "Hail. If you had 1,000 to split amongst all the pools, how would you divide it?" I don't know. You probably just want to just pick one or two for that. And it really comes down to how soon you need the money. And like what level of risk that you're willing to tolerate. I mean, honestly, my favorite one is lucky, so I would just put in lucky if I were you. But with that small amount, if you had a larger amount, it'd be good to split it across numerous ones. But anything less than maybe I don't even know what a good number to be would be, like maybe like anything less than $4,000, you should probably just pick one or two, just so each one is larger. So yeah, that's what I would. And you spoke before I did, not financial advice. It's not financial. This is like performance art advice, because like interacting with smart contracts is speech, and speech is art. And so I am giving you art advice in this case. If the laws changed, I think you were smart enough to comply with the bureaucracy. What are your thoughts? Not sure what you mean by that, but I mean, with all these contracts, once I click deploy, there's truly nothing I can do. And if I was facing some type of regulatory pressure, I would just turn off the front ends and just be like, all right, I'm done. And then it's like, okay, if the front ends got turned off, then people could just run it on Etherscan. You could run the contracts through any other tool that lets you do that. You could run your own Ethereum node to run the contracts. So there's really nothing that can be stopped. And there's no like blacklisting or whitelisting of any addresses like we've seen in some other contracts. So if I was facing pressure, I would probably bunker down and then just probably turn off my front ends, be like, okay, leave me alone. But the contracts themselves would be fully just unstoppable. Cryptonian says Poseidon. T Squared says, hey, Dave, I just asked in Telegram, so sorry for the repeat question. Speaking of Telegram, if you haven't already, go join the Telegram t.me/Maximus DAO. That's where his question came from. He asks, do you still see value in having quite liquid Hex Maxi and the P-Hex P-Maxi pairs in addition to the Perpetual pools after launch? Do you still see value in having liquid Hex Maxi and P-Hex P-Maxi pairs in addition to the Perpetual pools after launch? Yeah, so in the live stream that I did an hour ago, the topic of that one was about like what happens when the copy of the Maximus DAO ecosystem is made over to Pulse Chain. And the topic of that discussion was mainly had to do with these pairs. So, I mean, one, also, it doesn't really matter what I think is valuable with these pairs. The largest pairs are going to be the ones that produce the most volume, because the trading volume is what creates fees. Fees create the incentive for people to provide liquidity. And so, and with the Maxi one, I had nothing to do with the creation of the Maxi liquidity pool. Like, I have not provided any liquidity. So they just kind of form on their own, which is actually a good sign. A lot of coins, they struggle in finding liquidity, but since the pools just kind of form on their own, I think they just kind of will. What I think will probably happen is that probably from shortest to longest will be like the liquidity size. I think the largest liquidity pool is going to be base Hex. And then I think probably the next largest is probably going to be either base trio or Hex trio. And kind of down the line from there. But I think it's valuable, but also because when the cross chain pair happens, it creates these arbitrage opportunities to balance out the value from them. And if there's a lot of arbitrage opportunities, that will attract liquidity and volume. So we'll probably see pretty liquid pools amongst all of them. And the more liquid the more liquidity that's tied up in these pools, that's actually very strong for the value proposition of the Maximus perpetual pools, because, to me, the value proposition that I think is most important by far is the gas savings. Some people, I think, take too much hopium and they think that gas isn't going to be a problem in the future, either on Pulse Chain or ETH. And my perspective is if any of this crypto stuff is actually going to change the world, the cost to using immutable, trustless, permissionless chains is going to be very expensive, especially in 15 years. And I only expect there to be more users than there are today, and more use cases and more valuable use cases. So all those things contribute to higher fees. So I'm certain that fees are going to be high. And so to me, the most important value proposition of the perpetual pools is the gas savings. But the other major value proposition is that instant liquidity. And so the more liquid the pools between all of them will be, just the more liquidity there will be in general. And so that is, I think, going to really bolster the value proposition of Maxis, having those cross-chain arbitrage opportunities, the intra-chain arbitrage amongst the different pools. So I do think there's value in all of the pools, is kind of what I'm saying. Or in pair, yeah. So exactly, like, there's value to have liquidity amongst all that. And in terms of like the balances, that'll be more of like something that you look at after the fact, instead of like something where you try to project what would be better, because it's not like it all comes down to like better to whom. Because like to some class of users, if you're a buyer, you want a lot of liquidity on the sell side. If you're a seller, you want a lot of liquidity on the buy side. If you've already bought, you want low liquidity on the sell side. If you already sold, I guess you maybe don't care. If you are a liquidity provider, you want there to be not much liquidity other than yours, because then you get a larger percentage of the fees. So everyone kind of has their own perspective on what the ideal pools are. But I the way I view pools is it's kind of like an after the fact thing, where like, okay, the volume attracted the liquidity because the volume is the fees is their income. And so people just kind of follow the money in that sense. My guess is that is an important on ramp for those not already in the Maximus ecosystem. Oh, so you're talking about the hex perpetuals? Yeah, I mean, so the a liquid hex pair amongst all of them is important, because then people get like, that's that liquidity because hex is, because like I don't expect the pools to have massive direct liquidity pools to USDC, but since hex does have strong ETH and USDC pools, if we have strong pools between hex, then by extension through the order routing that the dexes do, then in that case we do have a strong connection to the USDC pool. So in that case, that is really important. The hex pool, I don't know exactly how much of an impact that has as like an on ramp to those from the Maximus ecosystem. The main catalyst to growth of the Maximus ecosystem is more marketing. I think it has more to do with marketing and outreach and messaging than it does to the composition of liquidity pools. But the liquidity pools have an impact on the price and the price execution. So it's important in that on ramping. But I mean, the bottom line, main on ramping thing is marketing efforts, and that's really that's where Team comes in, is where Team is actually directly incentivized to promote the growth of these pools. So I'd say that probably has more of an impact than the liquidity pools. Can you help me build a sports book on Pulse Chain? No, I don't like gambling, and I don't even really like sports that much. So probably I can build anything, like truly, like I could build that. But like my best work is going to come from things that I deeply care about. And I don't think people really should be betting on sports. Like all my friends that bet on sports, I'm like, wow, you guys are wrecked. Like, I don't want to be like you. So I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to passionately build something to make it great. So sorry. Someone else probably would, though. Crypto Fanatic says, do you see any point individually staking hex instead of buying staking pools, token, Deci, Lucky, and Maxibase? Unless you have 150 million hex, I wouldn't. I don't think anyone should be staking on their own. Like, because you're basically giving away money. Because staking the pools, you get 99%, over 99%, because like when you're staking in the pools, you are not responsible for paying the gas to the stake. The only gas you pay is to mint the coin and then to redeem at the end. And the cost, like the actual cost of that transaction, is a fraction of the end staking. End staking hex is actually very gas intensive and it's very expensive. So I've and honestly, even outside of that, I mean, when the fees really started to become a problem. DeFi summer 2020 is when the staking, like, or when when all the yield farms and all that food token bullshit was happening. The fees on ETH, that was when it really picked up. When Hex started, the fees were nothing. Like you would pay to speed up the transaction. You would go from paying 12 cents of gas to like 24 cents of gas back at the beginning. But now things are different. Now the chain is full, and so I do not recommend. I even stopped recommending people to be staking in general. Other than the big payday staking, I generally, like, to people that I personally know since 2021, and even on my channel, if you go back to my channel, I'm like, you don't need to stake. You can just let the price run, because like especially when the gas fees started heating up, that really eats into your interest. So it's like, why, if you're, say you have $1,000 and you stake for, okay, maybe a better example would be like, say you had $100 and you stake for a year, and in that year you earn, say, $12 of interest. If it costs you $12 to end in that stake, you shouldn't have staked in the first place. And so I've generally stopped recommending people staking just because the hex price performance alone has been enough. Like getting that incremental amount of hex, it helps, but it's not critical, especially for smaller users where the gas fee impacts them the most. So, and that's what drove me to build Maxi in the first place, was to help lower the gas fee impact, not only on just individual people, but just in the whole ecosystem as a total. Because every dollar that you're paying to ETH gas, that is money that should have been in hex. So the high gas fees are a massive extraction of value from the hex economy. And even if the hex price goes up, then it's like even still that's money that's out. Even if the stakes do become feasible to end. Whereas I actually think a lot of people are actually in for a rude awakening. I think the problem will really start getting bad around like year 8, just because every day that goes by, the gas to end a stake costs more. So I think a lot of people are in for a rude awakening. They have small stake ladders going out 15 years where they, staked every paycheck they got, they put $100 into hex and they staked that $100 for 15 years. They may get there and the gas fee wipes out all their yield or something like that. So the gas fee has a major impact, and all these small stakes that I see on like the max length stake bot that I made on Twitter. Anytime I see someone staking less than like 100,000 hex, I'm like, ugh, I just cringe because I'm just like, that person may be in for a very rude awakening. And so I do not like seeing a lot of people staking individually. Like when solutions like these pools exist, I think it's a no-brainer. Anytime someone's staking on their own, it's just like they're giving money. They're selling hex or otherwise not buying hex and giving that money to an ETH miner who doesn't give a shit about you. So I think that individually staking is not good. Could we do an exclusive Pulse Maxi to try to reach Poseidon level stake? Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier to answer that question, like like why we don't have a 5-year stake. Like, how do you know that we won't? And obviously, you shouldn't have any expectations that I do any future work ever. But that said, it is trivial to launch these pools. So, and we might, and maybe we'll add different dynamics. I mean, think about this, like these pools a lot. So, the feature set that was included in Maxi, a lot of that had to do with, we were on a time crunch because at that time we thought Pulse Chain was coming out in May. And so a lot of awesome features related to stake pooling and different incentives baked in, and even like staking mechanisms involved in that. Like we wiped everything, all these awesome ideas that we had, we just wiped all of them because we just didn't want to add any time to it because we thought Pulse Chain was launching ASAP. Now that it's a little different, we didn't. Or we don't feel the same pressure in that way, but we are in a rush to launch Team, just because we want to, just like the hex, it will be way better to launch Team during a hex bear market, like by far. So there is a little bit of market timing that we want to just like round out this 2 to 5 cent range that we're in, and then also the we want to, every day that, especially like since we coming up here, so like starting, if you look at the end stake charts from the Genesis T-shares, so those year 1 stakes, and those are the ones that really ratchet the T-share price up. We need this to be launched, and we want all these stakes, at least these first stakes, to start before like a big ratcheting up of the T-share rate that we'll probably see in a couple months. So we didn't want to make any modifications to the stake pooling thing, but there could be awesome stake pool dynamics that maybe we only launch on Pulse Chain. I mean, and even once Pulse Chain launches, we'll have to do them separately anyways. So, we can definitely do that. But who knows? I mean, we could even reach that. Actually, I don't know if it is even possible to reach the Poseidon level, realistically, like with the supply ownership breakdown. And I don't know if that even changes on Pulse Chain. But yeah, there's, who knows, maybe we'll have some unique staking dynamics that only make sense in a low fee environment that we may do. But who knows? That's a cool idea. Will the ticker on that be? Don't say it out loud. Can't fit Poseidon, so we'll have to find some abbreviation. T Squared says, thanks. Really appreciate the passion you so clearly have for Hex and these products. Yeah, thank you, T Squared. This stuff changed really. It all just came to me at the right time in my life, and I feel like there's something magical here. You make a good point about liquidity falling volume. Cheers. Yep, thank you. How do we extract the yield from the perpetuals? For example, would we need to burn base once a year and say lucky every 5 years? Yep. So what you'll do is you'd go to the page on the dashboard that says, so I think it'll show here on Trio. Nope. So on Trio, or when the stakes end, the dashboard, there's a redemption page, and it'll say redeem 1 point. Like, so for Trio, for instance, what did we say? We expected to earn like 1.15 per year. So 1.15 raised to the third is 1.52. So what you'll probably see in 3 years when Trio ends, you'll see the dashboard will say redeem 1.52 hex per Trio. And so you'll enter in the amount that you want to redeem, and then you'll click the redeem button, and then it'll burn that amount of Trio and then mint you back that amount of Trio times 1 point, or not mint you back. It'll send you that amount of Trio times 1.52 hex. And so if you only wanted to, so say you only wanted to like pull out your yield and then keep what was your principal, then what you would do is you would divide. Let me see if I get this right. So you would divide the number that you have. Let's see. So here, let's just do this. So say you start with 1,000, 1,000, and then after that it's worth 1.52. So if you wanted to extract 520 hex, you would need to, I think, divide. How would we do that? So here, let's do some math. Let's do some handwritten math right here. Let's get my notebook. Okay, so here, let's try this out right here. Let's get my desk off so you guys don't think I'm a freaking bum. So if we're trying to figure out how the equation for, okay, let's see. So let's get this off of portrait mode. Let's go normal mode. And then let's do, does that zoom in? Yeah, okay. So here, let's adjust this camera a little bit. Okay, so what are we trying to figure out? We're trying to figure out how many you have to burn to get it. So say you start with 1,000, and then after the fact, it goes to, you have 1,500, and you want to extract that 1,500. So that redemption rate is at 1.5. And so if you want to only get that means that you would need to, let's see. So you would divide how would we do this? Let's see. So that's basically a third of it, because that's what, so you do 1.5 minus the minus 1 over 1.5 times your total. So you go, so you go like R1 minus R0 over R1. So if R1 is the current redemption rate and R0 is the redemption rate at the start of the period, you do that times your total, and then that should give you your, that would be the number that you put in there. Someone should check my math on that, but also the dashboard will tell you, it'll just tell you what that number is. But yeah, if you want to break off that, you just have to calculate how many trio represent that amount. So that's one way to do it. Okay, so thank you, DP. I think Dip Patcher. Dip Patcher is my twin brother, actually. There's Dip Patcher and Dip Catcher. Are you a RH ecosystem only guy? I don't want to use the word maxi because people think it's negative. I'm not judging. It's just curious. You may see value dynamics too. You know, chilling. Oh yeah, I love shitcoins. I love egregiously stupid shit, and I've actually had better performance in other things than Hex, percentage wise, not total wise, because I'm very sensitive to risk actually, and that's why I'm like really so focused on Hex, because the risk weighted reward is there's really nothing like it, at least that I've seen. I definitely dabble in shitcoins, and I also know my audience. So that's why you don't really hear me talking about it, because one, I know how sensitive the hexagons are to people talking about other stuff, and I just know my audience, and also like these these are things that I have the wherewithal to gauge the risk, and so but I don't expect that of everyone who may be following me, and so I wouldn't want to like lead someone to getting wrecked. So that's why I don't talk about shitcoin, but yeah, I'm very active in other worlds, because that's you remember that video of it was like that song here. Let's play it because it's actually really important. Part of it is because like it's important to not, even though like the hexagon echo chamber is very profitable. Like if you just stick with Hex, like you'll have a good time, relatively low risk, really strong upside. I do think it's important, especially because I build stuff. I definitely think it's important to learn from other things, and and like I love taking risk. So so that's why I definitely dabble in other stuff, and you probably won't hear about any non, because my majority of my audience is Hex related, and and I don't assume that people have like the same like risk tolerance or ability to be very very steadfast in strategy, where like I limit any risk I take on bullshit to like a tiny percentage, like 1% of total portfolio. um I don't expect people to have that wherewithal. That's why I choose not to publicly discuss things that have high risk of failure. And then there's so well, there's one example that I like, that I actually learned a lot from. It actually had a lot to do with the creation of Maximus. Um, there's this thing called Snowdog, and Snowdog was they said it was an Olympus DAO fork that was on Avalanche, and it had this hyped up launch where people were minting Snowdog by depositing. There's a handful of coins you can mint it with, and what the Snowdog people said was that, and they're all anonymous, you didn't know who they were, but they said at the end of the mint phase, we're going to do a massive buyback and burn with all the coins that were minted Snowdog. We're going to buy back everything on the market and then burn it. And then what ended up happening was that, I'm sure it was an inside job. Someone just front ran the transaction and basically just yoinked all the buyback and burn money. And then the Snowdog price, it was like a serious rug pull. And so that was actually, that was something, that was in like November, December. And I mean, didn't lose much at all on that. But but what actually, the lesson I learned from that was, one, like telegraphing in order, like having a smart contract do buying can actually cause a lot of problems, because if you like telegraph what's going to happen, someone can be there waiting for you to put forth your transaction to the mempool, and then they'll just like front run you, and so you can get wrecked that way. And then also like a buyback and burn, it like that is just like kind of ripe for failure. And so with Maxi, or with team launch, how we're doing that burn, we're not buying it's like the contract isn't buying the Maxi. It's like you come with your own Maxi. Because if you get rid of the whole buying part, then the burn can work really well. And so, there are things that I've picked up from shitcoin, and even and another thing that another shitcoin that was crazy that I experienced was right when Uniswap, when we first all started using Uniswap with Hex, when I was looking around at the like Hex.vision charts, one of the ticker symbols in there, I used to click around on random ticker symbols on Uniswap and just ape in, and I had some awesome performance on some things, like stupid things, like truly stupid things that I don't even remember the ticker name, things that went like 10x in 2 days. Like just it was in that era of Uniswap. But one was Unisocks, and what Unisocks was is it's a coin that's backed by collectible unicorn themed socks, where they made 500 of these total physical socks, and then they minted 500 tokens, and then the only way you could get the physical socks was if you bought the coin and then you burnt it to redeem it. So that whole like burned, like fixed supply of something, fully backed by something, burn to redeem mechanism, like that we see in Maxi that people love. Like I took that straight out of the Unisocks playbook after I had look at the Unisocks chart, and it's crazy. Like that percentage wise, I had better performance on that than I did with Hex, but it was, small amount. So the dabbling in shit coins, I actually think, if you're like relying on like the investments, like, and you like and if like you're really sensitive to like craziness happening and like ruining your day, and like you find yourself likely to like overtrade or just like not let things play out, or if you're putting way too much money in, like you really shouldn't be dabbling in shitcoins, because and you should stick to things that are have a strong track record, have product market fit. A lot of the existential risk has already been alleviated. So that's why I choose not to really talk about a lot of the just bullshit that I dabble in. But I definitely pick up things from these other other communities, other products, and and that helps me make things like Maximus and Team and the Perpetuals better. Just by learning that. So I definitely am, but as far as like investments I take seriously, definitely the stuff in our ecosystem. It's kind of like I feel like that's like my edge, like, and that's like all of our edge is that like we're tuned into this ecosystem where, it's not like Bitcoin where, Bitcoin has, fairly low downside risk, but, it's kind of like top of the S curve. Like a lot of that, you're not going to see massive multiples on Bitcoin anymore. It's, and that's why it's less risky. Right. And so, it's not like that. It's not like we're like brand new to the end of the game on that one. It's like we're early in the game in something that still has massive upside potential, very competitive to things like Bitcoin. And so I think that, so our ecosystem here is like the stuff I take seriously, but I certainly, I love egregious bullshit that I see on chain, because sometimes that stuff is magical. And if not, you can learn something from it. Dixon says, I sacrificed for Pulse Chain and Pulse X, but I'm trying to increase my bag so I can buy more at launch after dip. Yeah. Yeah. And I was even very like, I mean, the same, like I actually didn't treat Pulse Chain or Pulse X any different than how I would any other illiquid, brand new, not launched yet shitcoin. So, and I think how it's playing out now with, a lot of people, just down, bear market in Hex, people thinking that Pulse Chain was going to be out sooner. Now those people probably strapped on cash. Inflation on just like consumer products, super high. People strapped for cash, maybe a little bit less aggressive investing. So, who knows? There may be, we may launch Pulse Chain into a Pulse Chain bear market, and that would be ideal for a lot of people, I think, because you definitely want to because even though it's like a Richard product, there's still a lot of risk in some brand new thing that isn't even out yet. So I think a lot of people just kind of got, because like Hex was just mooning at that time. I think a lot of people, they let their guard down as far as the risk assessment goes. And that's what markets do. Is if you don't manage risk, the markets will manage it for you. And so, we may see a serious pulse chain bear market right off the bat, which, is which is really good. It's actually like everyone loves it when the price is pumping, but prices going down. And that's even like the whole premise of the dip catcher brand and like just everything. It's like, if the price only moons, then it's like no one's getting a good deal. Like price going up it's only good for sellers. It's not good for buyers. And there's always, you always want more buyers. And so getting more buyers to get a good deal, like that's why Hex has such like an army of supporters, is because a ton of people experience massive upside. And so if the price only goes up, then only like the people that got in first experience that upside. Whereas I think it's better to have more people experience positive performance. And so I do support a bear market, and I love it. Are the minting of perpetuals only limited between launch dates phase? Yeah, so those will be 21 days. May extend them. So as of now, the plan is to have team and perpetuals all be 21. But we have gotten some pretty good feedback from people with, some ideas around letting them, especially the longer ones, because like every day not staked in base, that's like lost, because if it's a year stake, 3 days is 1%. Whereas for a 10-year stake like Deci, in that case, 36 days is 1%. And so, right? Did I do that right? Yeah. So it's more sensitive to get these shorter ones. It's more time sensitive to get the shorter ones started, but the longer ones, I think we could extend it longer. And because the base stake is like the calendar, that one really should be in lockstep with team. So team and base will for sure be 21 days, but we are still looking within to see if there's a benefit to extending some of those other ones. Dixon says, good stuff, bro. Just subscribe. Yep. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I passed I think I'm almost at 1,200 followers. I was at like 100 a year ago. So thank you all so much for the new subscribers. Dixon says, I appreciate everything you do. I got minted Maxi too. Yep. That was so fun. That was one of the best times of my life. I mean, really, my life's been awesome since Maxi launched. This has just been an awesome time. Like peeps. What are your thoughts on Icosa and Hedron? I mean, I think it's pretty cool concept. And what I don't like is that they're causing a lot of people to create a lot of small individual stakes. Like those people are basically giving away their money. So that I don't really like. But I think it's cool that there's a coin that's kind of tied to the T-share price. And Alex is obviously a really smart guy. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be minting Icosa with HSIs. I would rather just be keeping the Hex and just buying Icosa in a dip. I think that's a better strategy. But again, that's just my opinion. Love the whole team at Perpetuals project. Looking forward to being part of the team. Hell yeah! Can't wait to have you with us. All right, we're here at the end of the chat. What did we want to do next? We wanted to. Was that everything on the? Did we move everything for? Let's just go back in. Okay, so yeah, we move forward the base stake on both the test versions. So now why don't let's work on the dashboard now. So here, we're actually only going to do the dashboard on on the new one. We're not going to bother on the original. So here, let's share my screen. Okay, so let's just see what the dashboard is. Let's just see what it looks like now and what we got to do. Okay, so this is still pulling in. This is pulling in the maxi stuff because here, let's just look at how this works. Let's see what the dashboard. Dashboard. Where is it? Okay, so offline dashboard, that's right. Okay, so we have this offline dashboard, and that's just so people can look at the dashboard without plugging their MetaMask. And so, and this just kind of turned into the main one. So let's look back. I haven't looked at this code in so long. I need to refresh my memory. Okay, so so it's on must be on a form show. So when the form loads, yep. So it pulls the results, app tables, dashboard, get name equals dashboard, and the results. Okay, so that's because the way that this works is that I pull in, I have a background task that runs that pulls in this data. And so let's just go take a look at that. App tables. Okay, so this is how it works. We have this function called get results, and then so I bet this is failing. Let's look. I bet this is failing a day and night. Yep. Okay, so here on the get results, we get results is a function of ticker. So here, why don't we do this here? We're gonna let's go to the here we're gonna create a brand new form just to perpetuals word. So here we're gonna call inval.server.call get results. It has a base for now. Yep. So main. Let's go to dashboard. So from Perpetuals, Perpetuals dashboard, and then when we click this, we're going to give it Perpetuals dashboard. Okay. And then just to make this easier, we're going to make it so that when it loads, this is going to do link dashboard. Okay, so let's just run this and then we'll see what the error message is and we'll just go from there. That's basically how I build everything that I make. I just click run and I look for the errors. Okay, so in the server modules, it says W3 is not defined. Okay, now if you're a project ID found, let's see, maybe I don't need to do it like this. I'm trying to think. So for the launch, what do we need? We need to know total base supply. We need to know the value. I guess the values is stuff that we want to pull. Do we need to do this like this? Is there a smarter way we can do this? You know what? We're going to try to get smart here. I'm just going to go to this Perpetuals dashboards here. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to get the, okay, so self.pool contract equals self. Okay, so we need to pass in main. Self.main equals properties. Self.main. So we're going to find self.main.web3 wallet connect contract. We need to do that. Web3 wallet. We're just going to get, okay, so Maxi ABI is actually what we're going to get here. Self.pool ABI equals self.main.web3 wallet. Oh, no, we actually may have to instantiate it. So here, let's just find somewhere else where we've done this on the chain interface. Maybe we don't need all of them. So let's see what we do need. Because we oh shit. So the connect contracts, we probably don't need those. So I guess what we do need is actually maybe this will be good enough. So let's just find how everything else calls connect contracts. So maybe here on the min page. Yes, let's just copy this in here. Okay, so
Are you done?
so I actually do have it on the min. So let's just see what we're already starting with here. Let's just first see if we can even pull in, because if we already have this, then here, let's just see if we can get it here. So we need to pass dashboard. So Perpetuals dashboard where main equals self. Okay, then let's see if we can get that team contract. So maybe we actually do have the pool address here. So let's do that, and then we'll go back to Perpetuals dashboard, and then let's just see if this works. So if we see a little pop-up that says pool address, then we know it worked. Okay, so there we go. We got the pool address. So we need. Okay, it's expected. Okay, so now that we've done this, so what information do we want to have? Let's look at the other dashboard. Okay, so here, let's just start with the top. So we want the treasury value. So here, we're just going to copy this in here. We're going to go one by one, and then we're going to see if it's relevant. So perpetual dashboard. So treasury value. And then, so here, we'll start with this number because we don't, yeah, we'll have to pull in the hex price in a different way. But for now, let's try to fill in label treasury value hex. Let's see how the dashboard label treasury value hex. Okay. So here, let's create a function that says f fresh page. So we give it self dot label treasury value hex. So self dot hex treasury equals self dot hex contract dot balance. Why isn't it showing up there? Balance of self dot pool address. Let's just see if that works. That'll tell us if we're on the right track. That's weird. Okay, so, oh, duh, because we didn't even call the function. So let's just get rid of that. And then self.refresh page. Not showing up there. Flex always said, is there going to be another group stake, or would you have to create another Maxi-like coin to do that? If dude, there's literally about to be 5 or 4. Yeah, the Perpetuals. Go check out the video that Goldkey just posted on Twitter. How cool is C-Dev walk through contract? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, honestly, this really helps me just get it done. If I know that people are watching, even though there's only a couple people watching now, this actually helps me work faster. Supported format, big number, we know what to do there. Dot to number. Okay, so it says 0. I wonder why. Because this should be, if we look at the, so here, let's look at this contract address. Yeah, so we burnt, holy shit, someone put 1 million test maxi in here. Damn. these test hacks are hard to come by. I've literally on my tests, I'm literally doing like as much as I could buy from PulseX, which is like 0.7. Okay, so oh duh, we know that. We're stupid because the number is 0 because it's been staked. So what we need to pull isn't the hex treasury. We need to pull the base supply. So that number is actually going to come from a different value. So let's just copy that card, and we're going to do like a total supply value. So this one's going to be total supply. So this one label total supply header. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this total supply header to include the base ticker name. Let's go ahead while we're thinking about it. Let's pass in the ticker name. So ticker there, and then we can set self.label total supply header.text equals total blank supply format self.ticker, and then we want to have this hex value label total token supply. And then self.label token supply text equals total equals blank format supply comma self.ticker where supply equals self.maxi here. Let's change this because it's not maxi contract. This is self.pool contract. This is self.write pool contract. So self.pool contract total supply to number. And then we know that's going to be a big giant number. So we're going to call it supply raw, and then we're going to call this supply scaled equals supply raw divided by scalar. So let's make this a global variable. We'll make it because we're going to be using this everywhere. So self.scalar equals 10 to the 8, 78 or 89, 10 to the 8 equals that. So let's see what that does. Got an error. Perpetual dashboards has no attribute ticker. Ticker equals properties is So the notorious one says, if base represents a 1 year stake, does it only yield for 1 year, or could it hold for 5 years, for example, to gain 5 years worth of yield? Yeah, exactly. So base restarts every year. So it's a year-long stake that repeats itself 7 days after it ends. So if you're to hold it 5 years, what you can do is, if you mint base in the first period, it auto compounds your yield into the next period. So you will get 5 years worth of yield from that, just because your base just remained in the pool, and so you'll get that 5 years. I'm confused with this part, as I understand that the only option after a 1 year stake ends is to mint the hex principal plus yield, and the minting of base, for example, is limited at launch. No, so every year when the base stake ends, a new minting and redemption phase starts, and we would call that the reload phase. So you can either mint more base, you can redeem your hex from the base, or you can just leave it and then you're rolled into the next period. Goldkey put out a pretty good video on that, which is pretty helpful in understanding how that all works. Then Rabio says, you can roll your base in next year if you want to, or just pull and spend it. But rolling a base position for 3 years yields less returns than one trio stake. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I see that there. Looks like we had something weird going on with the, where did that thing go? That's weird. Total supply. You know what? So here, we're going to change this up. We're going to say that we're going to rename these. So market cap. We're going to say this is the supply. Okay. See what happens. Okay, there we go. So what would make this look better? Let's just start off right, and because then we're going to be copying this format as we go on. Yeah, let's do that. Probably only want one decimal, right? Because even though there's 8 decimals, we may not even need any decimals, to be honest, because these will be pretty large numbers. Yeah, that's right. So total base supply, and then this will be the market cap. So for now, we're going to do self dot base price equals, let's just add a blank, like a number here. So 0.05. That's just the hex price. And then we're going to say self.label or self.marketcap dot text equals self.base price times times supply scaled. It's going to be $sign in front of it. $sign blank, and then for that we're going to we're going to do the same, or we'll do 2. We'll do 2 just because it's, let's see what happens. There we go. So in when it's actually go time, because like right now there's not really good or meaningful price feed data from testnet. So when we go on mainnet, what we'll do is we'll fix this so that it pulls in the actual price. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so what else is on that dashboard that we need to pull over? Okay, yeah, so these ones. I wish I could just... All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're pulling all of it. We're just gonna paste everything in here, and hopefully this doesn't create a shitstorm. Okay, so let's see. So the redemption value is, let's see what that part. Can we do it? No, that's relying on the stake. Here, we're gonna knock these out just because. Then we may have to revisit this later because I'm gonna spend some time with my wife in a little bit before I keep working on this. So let's just knock out the stuff that we know is gonna be easy. So minting phase start day, it's gonna be okay. Label backing, what? So this is going to be label reload start, current day, label current day. This is label reload end. Okay, so let's add those. So reload, so let's see this. So now we need to do self.reload, label reload start dot text equals, let's call it text day blank, where blank is, okay, we're gonna pull up we need to create something called start day, and then we're also gonna do self.relabel reload end dot text equals text day blank format end day, and then self.label current day dot text equals text day blank dot format. And then so now we just need to get these numbers. So text day. So we know that self dot text day equals self dot pool contract dot get text day to number. We know that start day equals self dot pool contract dot reload phase start. Reload phase start to number, and then end day equals end. Okay, so let's see if that worked. Okay, so we have total base supply, minting phase start 994, minting phase end 995, current date 96. Okay, so that makes sense because the minting phase is now closed, but on mainnet, when this matters, that'll be there. So why don't we, here, let's do this for now. We are going to, we're just going to do that, even though we know that this test stick isn't going to have it, we're gonna put the total treasury hex values in there. So self.label total treasury hex. It's actually the hex, so self.hex treasury. So we can just do this like this. Text. So that should show up as 0 if we did it right. So in first census, thanks for answering. I've been stuck in bed past 6 months, so I'm limited to how much I can research. Had to rush through Icosa in 2 days, and now I'm up to date with team of Perpetuals ahead of launch. Wow, hope you're doing all right. Yeah, I mean, luckily with team and the Perpetuals, it's super simple. You know, Perpetuals, they're just repeating hex stakes, and then team, it's the growth engine that is incentivized to grow the Perpetuals, and it's incentivized by being able to earn half of the bigger pays better bonus from the perpetual pools. So, all very simple. Yep, thanks. I understand the yield potential for each. Just confused with the cycles. Yeah. Well, glad we helped you understand it. So looks like we got the minting phases done. We could do the stake phase now. Okay, why don't we do that? So let's go ahead and add minting phase starts here. Let's just copy this card. Minting phase start, minting phase end. So let's just call these stake start day and then stake end day. We already have that. Yeah, okay, so here. Okay, so label, we call it pool supply. Did we already have one called that? Supply. So self.label pool supply.text. And that's going to be basically what we had at the total token supply. Yep. I know these are some repeats here, so we may scale this back down a little bit, but we're just going to get it all out there. We'll put it all out, and then we'll scale back as needed. Label T shares, that's not really relevant until the stake starts. Hex day. Okay, so here We're going to get these done. Okay, so let's just knock this one out here. Label, let's call this label pool contract address. So this one, self.label pool contract address text equals self.pool address. Okay. And then self.label stake start text equals hex day blank format. Self.label label stake end text equals day. So we need stake start and then stake end. So stake start equals self.pool contract dot stake start day to number. And I think the other one is equals self pool contract dot stake end day to number. And then we're going to do, let's just make sure it's stake here and there. So those should be right. And then let's do some Python here and let's do label stake start copy. So label stake start date. And we're going to do label stake end date. And let's get the actual calendar day of those. So, so stake start date is going to be time. Date time dot. Okay, so how do we do this? So the current day, the current hex day is today. So the stake start day is going to be, as far as the date goes. So let's just go today equals date time UTC datetime dot datetime dot UTC now date. And then so the end day is easy. So days till end equals stake end. Days till end equals stake end minus self day. And then days from start equals self.hex day minus stake start. Okay, so for stake start date equals today minus date time dot time delta days equals days from start. And SSE stake end day said equals today plus date time dot time delta days equals days till end. It may only be relevant during a stake, which I guess makes sense because we just want to show it when it's during a stake, but let's just see how this works. So now we do self.label stake start date dot text self equals ssd.strftime. Let's give it a %m/%d%y. See what happens there. Okay, so minting phase start day is hex day 994. Current day 996. Minting phase end day is 995. Stake start day 825. Okay, let's see what's up with that. Which might actually make sense, the way that this interprets it. Stake start date, stake end date. Oh wait, duh. SSD, yes, ED. And let's fix the. So that's the stake start date. So let's just add that there. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. 825. That's effectively tomorrow. Stake end day is 826. So starting the 827 is when we can end it. Here's contract address. That's good. All right. So I think if we toggle through this, oh yeah, because these ones. Oh, so here, let's go ahead and start the trio stakes. That's something we didn't do. We didn't run the stake start on trio, so let's bring back that stake start button. Bring it back. So here, we're going to go ahead and start the trio. Okay, when I looked, I don't think anyone actually staked Deci. So let's actually see what happens. So we're just going to start all these stakes. Okay, so once these go through, then we should see. Okay. Well, so we did that. Let's see if it. Okay, so there we go. That's cool. Stake start day, we have 1 million trio Hex A 996 when it starts, it ends in 999. All right, so there we go. All right. Looks like it's not confirmed on the block explorer, but it must be confirmed on the node that this is looking at because these showed up there. Let's see if we can see any information about these. 900 lucky. That's funny. So that one is a 7-day. Yep. 900 deci. So someone minted. All right. So we just made some good progress on getting these dashboard numbers up. Some of these don't really make sense till mainnet. So I'll spend a little more time thinking about how to make that happen. Let's see if anyone had any questions, and I'm going to hop off. So Crypto Fanatic says, is it better to hold Team or Maxi as opposed to any Hex lucky base? Team and Maxi are optimal because they produce the most amount of yield and should always be worth more in case you want to cash out. They're kind of different. So I would group Maxi and Deci as the ones that produce the most yield, and then Base and Trio is the ones that produce the smaller amount. And here, I actually described the breakdown here. So let me share my screen on my Twitter. Put my screen back up, and I'll show you what I had, how I kind of broke them down. Okay, so here's what so Base's revolving 1-year stake pool at current rates may earn 11% annually. Base is the shortest stake pool and thus the least risky. Base is a strong alternative to holding liquid hex, and it's unlikely to have a large premium and discount range. So Base is definitely better than holding liquid hex because you're earning 11% per year instead of being diluted by 3.69% per year. But because the redemption rate happens so regularly, like every year you can redeem it, it really doesn't make sense for the price to be much above for it to command a really strong premium or be at a really deep discount. Because if it's really high, then it's like, okay, rather than waiting till redemption, you can just sell the base down to get that hex today. Or if it's really low, then say it's 6 months in and then the base price is below 1-to-1, then whatever that difference is, it's like you achieve that 1-year yield in 6 months. So it's like you're speeding up a stake. So because it's in such a short period of time in which these basically get reset, the price gets reset to that next redemption rate. So these are definitely the least risky, and it all comes down to your own personal situation. Where on the least risky end, you have Base and Trio. Where Trio, it's redeemable once per macro crypto cycle, and it's a little riskier than Base. And because of that, it may have a medium-sized premium discount range. Lucky here, it's more risky than Trio, so it may have a pretty large premium discount range. And then Deci, it's the highest risk among the Perpetuals, so it may trade within a really shocking premium discount range. And so the one that you choose should really be based on your own personal situation, where if you feel like you may need to cash out at some point, you have to factor in the risk that at the time that you need to cash out, there's not going to be a lot of other people that need to cash out, because especially in the ones that can reasonably have a big premium or discount, kind of like Deci or Lucky, because if everyone needs to cash out, then you're going to get less than what it's worth. And in that case, you should have just held a shorter term one and then you may end up with more hex, because those ones really can't, or not can't, because they definitely can, but they're probably less likely to experience a big discount. And if you need cash, the discount is what can kill you. So um, it more has to do, rather than like total net yield, it really comes down to how much risk you're willing to take on the um, amount you're able to cash out if you may be selling, to be at levels that are appropriate with your own personal situation. So the decision has less to do with the total yield, but more to do with the likelihood of a discount. So where the shorter stakes are less likely to ever be in a discount than the longer stakes. So that's more what to think about there. And then Notorious one says, Max is great for reasons we all understand. Team has great yield potential for Hex, Hadron, and Maxi Rebate, as well as its own price appreciation potential. Yeah, man, you nailed it. Team is definitely higher risk than all of them because it's got its own supply demand dynamics. But those supply demand dynamics are pretty powerful in that the staked team is burnt, so it's not there. And if people early end stake their team, it experiences a 3.69% early end stake penalty, where that penalty is simply just burnt. It no longer is in existence. So the total team supply is deflationary from that penalty. And then you, as a team staker or just a team holder who didn't early end stake, it's like your portion of the total pie grew a little bit every time someone early end stakes. And then especially during years where there may be extraordinarily high payouts, because every year is a base payout. And then every 3 years, you have base and trio. Every 7 years, you have base and lucky. Every 10 years, you have base and deci. Every 21 years, you have base, trio, lucky. Every 30 years, you have base, trio, deci. Every 70 years, you have base, lucky, deci. Every 210 years, you have base, lucky, trio, and deci. And years 369, you have base, trio, and the maxi rebate. So certain years there's going to be really high payouts, and so during those years there may be a lot of demand for team and a lot of demand to stake team. So if there's a lot of demand and there's people locking up their team, what happens to the team price? Maybe the price goes up a lot, and then it can as the price goes up, maybe that causes people to early end stake to cash in on the pump. And then as they early end stake, it reduces supply, so that on the next cycle, there's now less team that's going to be competing as a staker, so that the earnings per team staked can go up, and there's less team to be competing with as a seller, and so that can let the team price go up a little bit faster. So the team supply dynamics, I think, are really awesome, and then the yield is just this awesome bone, and the yield is what causes those supply dynamics to take effect. But yeah, I think team is an easy choice. Like if you think for 10 seconds, it's clear that you'd want team more than just about anything else at this point right now. So that's what I think. And then the perpetuals are like, that's much less risky than team, because they're backed by hex. They're really just holding hex. So those are more like a solution for gas savings and liquidity on stakes. And then team is more of like a higher risk, higher reward play that, we could see scenarios where there's basically no team for sale. And then what does that do to the price? So that's kind of what's going on there. Notorious one says, appreciate the help, Dip Catcher. Loving the Max ecosystem. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to go ahead and get off now. Time for me to eat dinner. Thanks for joining me today. We made a lot of progress on this dashboard. We made a lot of progress on the team and perpetual test phases. Explained a lot of the, just kind of how the contracts work. And yeah, I had an awesome time with you all today. So thank you all. We'll talk to you soon, and have a great evening.